Team Review Edition. I am Lucas Dorton, and I am joined by Kevin Harris, who is an Arizona Diamondbacks fan. So, Kevin, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We've had a lot of back and forths, and since we've known each other, obviously Rockies and Diamondbacks being in the same division.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially with the Archie Bradley triple. Never going to forget that. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
okay, well, yeah, you didn't have to bring that up. You
Oh,
didn't have to bring that.
there was just a timer of when I was going to bring that up. You had to know that.
Yeah, I should have done an over under of when it was going to be brought up. I didn't think it was going to be 10 seconds into the recording, but
Oh, yeah.
nice. So yeah, I guess if you just want to give the people a little bit of your baseball playing background and then maybe how you became a Diamondbacks fan if you want.
All right. Yeah. So obviously I went to Bethany, played baseball there, played baseball pretty much ever since I was 4 years old. So always been around the game. And then living in El Paso here, growing up, we actually had the El Paso Diablos, and they were the AA or AAA affiliate for the Arizona Diamondbacks back in the day. So they used to come and they'd play the Diamondbacks would play the Diablos like once every couple of years. So my brother and I would get to go to that. So we just grew up becoming big fans of them. And then obviously Phoenix is the closest major league team to here, so we'd go visit there. That was the first baseball game we ever watched. Got to watch Barry Bonds go like 4 for 5 with 3 home runs against the Diamondbacks when I was a kid. So that was obviously a lot of fun too.
It's awesome. So what positions did you play playing baseball? I mean, I know, but obviously for the people
Yeah.
who don't know you.
Well, in high school I was always classically a middle infielder and I was always a middle infielder and pitcher in high school, and then going to college, I transferred more into the outfield, and then later on went back into the middle infield. So kind of played a little bit everywhere.
Which one did you like the most?
Oh, that's tough. Probably outfield. It was a lot of fun, especially playing on the bigger fields, getting to run and catch some balls down that I never thought I would, and it was a good time.
Sure. For sure. So talk, your first career home run that you had when it was at Bethany, everyone got pumped.
Oh yeah.
So I just want to ask you, when you hit it, was it one of those things where you knew it was going out when you hit it, or did you think, I'm not sure if it's getting out or not?
Okay, so fun story about that. The game before, we were playing North Central, and I think I hit 4 balls that the left fielder caught, like right in front of the fence. And our coach, Craig, came up to me afterwards. He's like, dude, hit the ball on the ground. You're fast. Just quit hitting pop-ups. So that was the first at-bat for the next game. I hit it up in the air. I go, crap. I'm like, there's another pop fly. So I'm like sprinting, hoping the guy like drops it or something. I can get a double out of it. And as I'm rounding, kind of look up, I'm like, oh, it's all right, cool. And I'm just smiling ear to ear. Coach Craig is just has a big smirk on his face. Anybody that knows him kind of can imagine the face he was making at the time. And
Yeah.
I remember crossing home plate and Brandon Olson was there and we kind of tapped helmets and he was like, I don't know what the heck just happened, but sure.
Oh, that was awesome. That was probably one of my favorite just baseball memories. I mean, that was so cool. That was fun.
Yeah,
That was
that was a lot of fun.
nice.
Definitely.
Like, ready to start talking about your Diamondbacks?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, cool. So last season, you guys finished 85 and 77, second place in the NL West. Obviously, the Dodgers are kind of always going to be the team to beat. They won, 105 games last year. So It's
Yep.
kind of tough to keep pace with that. But I guess just kind of looking back at last season, I think you guys kind of surprised a lot of people with how well you played. What were some reasons behind that, you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially you lose a guy like Paul Goldschmidt before the season even starts the trading, obviously, and then losing Greinke halfway through, you don't think the team's going to do that well. But you have guys like David Peralta that played extremely well. Ketel Marte having a finished fourth in MVP stats kind of out of nowhere, which I don't think anyone was expecting. A lot of the young pitchers showed up and threw really well. So, yeah, I think it was kind of a whole bunch of things. And then towards the end of the year, one of my favorite players, Archie Bradley, finished, I think, July and August either tied for or close to the lead in MLB saves. So they just turned it on towards the end, and they kind of had that attitude like, everyone counted us out, but we're not giving up, kind of no quit, no white flag thing. And it was a lot
Sure.
of fun to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, Archie Bradley, you kind of brought him up. I remember when he first came up, he was one of the top prospects in baseball, but for a starting pitcher, not for a relief pitcher. Yeah. So when kind of was the transition when they kind of moved him more into the reliever and kind of the closer role?
To be honest, I don't remember the exact timing of it, but I just remember my brother was the bigger fan of him at first, and he was like, "Hey, you got to watch this guy. Like, he throws hard, and he's just like always energetic, and he's like closer following him with his minor league play." And so I started watching him as soon as he starts being a reliever and coming in. I'm like, "Hey, this guy's pretty electric. He's got some stuff."
I
And
will
so,
always, like you said, yeah, eternal beef with Archie Bradley for that triple. I will never forgive him for that. But
oh
anyways, you
yeah.
keep going.
But another thing that I like about him is he was actually committed to the University of Oklahoma to play quarterback.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah. So as those of you who don't know, I'm a big OU Sooners fan. So that was
Yep.
kind of another thing. He's always rooting for him. Him and Kyler Murray talked a lot, and so I thought it was pretty
Sure.
cool. Just kind of one little background thing about him.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't think a lot of people would know that too. Well, that's awesome actually. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just dual sport athletes, man.
Absolutely. You were one too, obviously. Doing some track at Bethany as well too. How was that doing
Yeah.
track and baseball? Was it kind of a tough transition when track season was kind of done to now you're kind of getting into baseball? Had some overlap too, but was that difficult at all for you?
Uh, to an extent, yes. The first year, especially, kind of the whole month of February, having track practice at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning, whenever it was, and then having baseball practice later that evening, and just kind of juggling it. But once I figured it out, and both coaching staffs were extremely acceptable with if I needed to taper off from one for the other. Like Coach Dunn understood that baseball was my number one go-to, and that if we had like a simulated scrimmage or something going on, he'd take it easy on me in practice. That way, it could be 100% for the baseball games. And
Sure.
then kind of same thing with Coach Craig. If like the week before the conference track meet, he'd say, "Hey, take it easy, get a couple swings, and just relax." He understood what was going on, so that was a huge part of it too. Just the understanding of both coaching staffs.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, like you said, yeah, if you have both coaching staffs kind of with what they think you should do, but also are on board with what you're doing, that's awesome.
Oh,
Um,
exactly.
so then Paul Goldschmidt, obviously, I know you were a huge Paul
Oh,
Goldschmidt fan. I
absolutely.
hated playing against him because it seemed like he always killed the Rockies. I always remember the hanging curveball that Gray gave him in the wild card game that he
Yeah,
crushed about 30 rows deep.
yeah.
Um,
He's good.
I
I
mean, the
like him.
guy, yeah. Oh no, I mean, I love Paul Goldschmidt too.
Oh yeah.
So when the guy got traded to the Cardinals, was that something that the Diamondbacks fans or maybe even yourself kind of saw coming, or was it something that kind of took you by surprise? You didn't really even know he was out there to get traded.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, with the Diamondbacks don't have the kind of money that the Yankees and the Dodgers send. So with the deal that Greinke was on, I figured that unfortunately Goldie was going to have to go, and I liked the return they got on him, but it was just that was Goldie. That was like the
Right.
guy, the face of the thing, and all the stuff that we saw that he got to do in the community around Arizona, and he was just so loved. Every time if you went to a game there, whenever he came up to bat, place was just rocking. You never heard about him getting in anything bad, and
No.
it was just easy to root for, and obviously incredible athlete. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess to answer your question, kind of saw it coming but didn't want to admit it. I guess if that makes sense.
Sure. No, I feel that. I feel that for sure. It's kind of how the Rockies were with Tulowitzki for the longest time. I knew it was probably going to happen
Yeah.
at some point. They didn't want it to, but it was probably going to. Um, and then, so obviously, you brought up another name too, Zach Greinke. Obviously, during this season, traded him to the Houston Astros to get some players back. Was that a contract when you guys first signed him, and it was a big deal? Was that something that you're kind of on board with?
At first, just because there were always the big conflicts. Whenever the Dodgers and Diamondbacks got in a fight, 9 out of 10 times Greinke was pitching. So
Yeah.
I kind of knew him as that, and then he just always with the long hair, he just kind of looked crazy. But I mean, I don't know a better way to put it, but he's a heck of a pitcher. And once he started with the Diamondbacks, I was like, okay, I'll start watching him a little bit more and closely. And I don't know, I fell in love with how he played the game, and so right away I was a fan of it.
For sure. When I think of the Diamondbacks, like you mentioned, losing Paul Goldschmidt all of last season, obviously with him being traded, and then Zach Greinke only having him for about half the season. With how you guys finished, I mean, and that's kind of the Diamondbacks. It's kind of how they always play. They're never
Yeah.
really going to be a bottom of the stats. They're not going to be a bottom of the record type team. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to be an above 500 team, might not be competing for a playoffs, but they're going to be competing in every single game that they
Yeah.
play in. Um, Do you think that goes more because you guys have obviously had some different managers now throughout the past 5,
Mm,
6 years or so?
yeah.
Do you think that says more for the managers just kind of being able to get the most out of the players that they have? Or do you think
Mm.
that's just the player?
You there? Sorry, we kind of broke up a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yep, still there.
All right.
Kind of,
Start over.
I don't know.
Sorry. It broke up
No, it's all
halfway through
good.
there.
Yep. Yeah. So, did you want me to kind of repeat the second part of that?
Yeah, I heard you were talking about the manager and then
Okay.
Toivola, how he
Yep.
came in.
For sure. Yep. So the point that I was wondering is, obviously with the Diamondbacks being as resilient as they are, does that say more about the coaching that they have had and just kind of working and getting the best out of the players that they have? Or do you
Mm.
think that says more for the players that are there? That's like, hey, people are counting us out. Let's try and prove everyone wrong, or maybe both.
I do think it's a little bit of both. I mean, Toivola, the way that he's come in and just kind of changed it as soon as he got there. I love the way he leads the team. And then you got guys in the locker room like Archie Bradley and the David Peraltas that are just, you hear them in interviews afterwards. They can lose by 12 or they can win by 12, and they're always like, hey, go get them, next pitch, next pitch, next thing, next thing. And they're just fun to watch, and they always play with heart. I think I don't think I've ever gone to a game where it's like the fans aren't into it, the players are just kind of like dead, even if it's a middle of July game and no one really cares to be there. It's the atmosphere there's always unreal, and the players are always there ready to play. So I think it has to be said for both, but I don't know. The players always kind of play with a little chip on their shoulder just because they aren't the Diamondbacks or the Yankees. I
Right.
mean, the
Right.
Dodgers or the Yankees, sorry.
No, it's all good. So Tori Lavilla, you kind of mentioned him a little bit. You're a big fan of him. What's the
Yeah.
kind of general consensus around Diamondbacks fans? Do most fans kind of like him, or are there any that aren't really too pleased with him, or what are you hearing at least?
I haven't heard a bad thing about him, honestly. Both my brother and I are huge fans of his. And then whenever we go out to Phoenix to go watch some games, or if we bump into Diamondbacks friends wherever we're at, we always hear positive things about him. He kind of changed it. They went through a pretty bad stretch before he got there for Diamondback standards, and as soon as he got there, he turned it around pretty quick. And yeah, I like what he does. He's actually
Um,
aggressive in free agency and
yeah.
willing to make some trades for the team too. So I like him.
And then Kirk Gibson, how did people feel about him when he was the manager there, or maybe you yourself too?
Not the same. The results maybe weren't the same as they were with Tory, but I mean, what can you do?
Sure, it's fair. All right, so we'll just get into this offseason. It's been a pretty busy offseason for the Diamondbacks. Madison
Yeah.
Bumgarner, Starling Marte, Cole Calhoun,
Oh
probably the
yeah.
three biggest names that the
Hmm.
Diamondbacks got this offseason. Madison Bumgarner, and I think it was one of those things. I mean, I don't know about you. Obviously, he was going to leave the Giants. I didn't think he was going to stay in the division. I thought he was going to go elsewhere, go to another team. So
Uh
when you found out that Bumgarner went to the Diamondbacks, you
hmm
had to have been just ecstatic.
Oh, I was bouncing off the walls. It was pretty fun. It was, especially when I found out the reasoning for his horses being there. I was like, okay, this is fate. This has to be. But no, I mean, I don't know how accurate this source was or whatever. I saw it maybe on Twitter, online somewhere, but they were like, no, he wanted to play the Dodgers. He wanted to be somewhere where he could face the Dodgers, and so well,
That's
Arizona kind
awesome.
of fit the bill pretty perfectly, and he gets to go hit more home runs off Kershaw, and we get more Kershaw Bumgarner. So I'm happy.
Oh man, that's got to be one of my favorite like pitcher and batter matchups in all of
Oh,
baseball. Like there are some really solid ones, but
yeah,
Kershaw, Bumgarner, Giants, Dodgers. I mean, that's hard to get better than that, honestly.
no, exactly. I used to I obviously I care about both teams, but I'm not a fan of either team really. But I love, just as a baseball fan, you love watching that.
Oh yeah, I mean Bumgarner, arguably the one of, if not the best postseason pitcher of all time. I mean,
Yeah,
having him on your team, I mean, you're not going to regret that signing.
no,
That's for sure.
exactly.
Um, yeah, that
Yeah,
was pretty fun.
especially someone was talking. They're like, well, Diamondbacks end up making it to a wild card this game. They have one of the best postseason pitchers. So instead of doing the whole like 2 innings, 2 innings, 2 innings, just throw
Yep.
Bumgarner, see what you can get out of him.
Yeah.
So that's also a huge piece for it.
Right. Yeah, Bumgarner. I mean, that guy's a horse too. He's going to get you probably close to 200 plus innings every
Yeah.
single year. He's going to be in. It's rare that Bumgarner gets rocked, and I feel even when he does get rocked, he's still in there 6, 7 innings, competing, giving his team a chance to win. So, I mean, you got to absolutely love that for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a competitor. I mean, he won, $40,000 as a rodeo guy this summer, so.
Yeah.
that killed me when I saw that. I loved it.
Does that worry you at all, though? Like, what if he gets thrown off of a ball or something sometime and breaks his arm or something like that? Or he just kind of, he's used to it. He should be fine.
Well, I mean, he had his whole, when he was dirt biking or whatever it was, he broke whatever, I don't remember the exact injury, but he had that a while ago.
Right.
But I don't think, especially now that he kind of came out about what was going on, like, I don't think he's going to do it now that he's actually in season.
Sure. That's fair.
So, I mean, I'm not going to knock a guy for doing something he clearly loves during the offseason. I mean, he didn't get hurt, so hindsight's 20/20 there, but.
That's true. No, I didn't think it's too much of it. I do think that's pretty cool, though. I do think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Starling Marte, another guy that you guys acquired from Pittsburgh, he's had a little bit of an up and down career. There's been times where he's looked like one of the better outfielders in baseball. Other times, obviously, he had a suspension for PEDs and looked too good there. This guy can do it all. I would say pretty dang close to a 5-tool outfielder. The power, like I said, kind of off and on. But if you can get that going, I mean, that could be an absolute steal for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the biggest piece of having him, too, was they had said that Ketel Marte enjoyed playing second base more than he did in the outfield. And so getting Starling, kind of letting him play outfield, and then keeping Ketel only playing the second base position rather than kind of bouncing back from infield to outfield is going to make him a lot happier from what I've heard. So that's a huge plus. And then, like you said, he's an incredible player. I think they're going to have him probably leading off.
Okay.
Or either him or Ketel will be leading off. So that'll be exciting to watch, too.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, no, that'll be awesome. And then obviously the other one, Cole Calhoun, another one. Not a huge signing, but I mean it's one. Obviously, has played with Mike Trout, has had some success at some points. You can never have too much depth, and I think that's kind of what he adds for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I think he had 30-something home runs last year, I believe. Right. So I mean, he's going to play well, and then he'll get in there, kind of give the bat a little line or give the batting lineup a little oomph when they need it. So, and then he's from Arizona, played at Arizona State too, so. Okay. That's kind of a big thing. He's kind of a hometown kid now, so.
You got all these facts for me. You're coming prepared, Kevin. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. So Jake Lamb was a guy a few years ago, arguably probably could have been, probably not, but I'd say top 5, top 6, 7, and as far as third baseman goes.
Yeah.
And it's just MLB players in general was phenomenal. He's kind of fallen off a little bit now. What's the deal with Lamb? Because I know he was your boy.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that a lot of that stemmed from my brother too. We got to watch him when he was in Reno with the Aces. They play the El Paso Chihuahuas, the AAA team for the Padres, which are here. And so we were watching him. He's like, just watch this guy. He's a stud. And he absolutely killed it. And when he first got called up, he was lit it up, but then kind of figured out, okay, he can't hit a lefty. It's like, okay, that's kind of a big deal. And then he'd get really hot, and then when it was bad, it was bad.
Sure.
So I don't know. He's one of those guys that's like, they've always talked about, okay, when are they going to move on from him? But I'm like, part of me is like, no, don't do it. But I'm like, yeah, kind of have to do it. So, especially with Escobar, and I don't know. It's tough, just from a personal feelings position.
Yep. Well, I feel that. Yeah. Do you see him having a role at all on the Diamondbacks this season, or do you think at some point during the season he's probably going to be on a different team?
I think it depends too on how everything goes at first base. They got Kevin Cron in, and if he's what he's supposed to be, then I don't see there being much for Lamb with the Diamondbacks, just because Escobar will be at third, and then if Kevin Cron can play first base well enough, then I don't see him playing that often. If just kind of when the other guys are trying to take it easy or whatever, if they really like a matchup for some reason, but I don't see it too much, unfortunately.
That's too bad. Yeah, you hate to see those guys kind of, I don't know, not necessarily get tossed to the curb, but it's like you don't really have any other options for them, so you kind of just have to push them away a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of tough. So I guess out of those three signings, I guess mainly, we'll go to between Sterling Marte
Hmm.
um, and Madison Bumgarner. Which one do you think is going to have the most impact? Now, obviously, Bumgarner is going to have a huge impact regardless.
Yeah.
I think if Marte is able to have, play a full season, I think it could
Hmm.
have a huge impact. So, which one, I guess, are you more excited to see, and then which one do you think will have more of an impact?
I think as a baseball fan, I'm just excited to see Madison Bumgarner and watch every game he pitches. But having Marte in there for a full season and seeing what that outfield can do, especially with the addition of Calhoun, like I think Marte, Calhoun, and Peralta can be a pretty good outfield. And then with Tim LeCastro going in there too,
Yeah.
I think I like that. I don't know if you know much about Tim LeCastro, but I kind of nerded up on him when I started realizing where he came from, and I like him a lot.
Well, why don't you give us some stats about him? Give us
Yeah.
some
Well,
knowledge or
Mike.
something.
So he's a D3 guy. He went to I think it was Ithaca, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. Yeah, so he was a D3 guy, incredibly fast, and he actually got clocked as like having the highest speed last year, the highest average speed. Like so
Wow.
that's like beating guys like Buxton, Billy Hamilton, all those guys. So it was when I saw that I was shocked. Because
Yeah.
like whenever you think of the speedy guys, that's just not the name you're gonna think of.
No.
So I like seeing that. He had an insane stretch where he got hit like 20 hit by pitches in 30 games or something like that. So he was just a ball magnet. Like that was like his big thing. Is like he'd go in and there was like a 20% chance he'd get hit in the game or something stupid like that. So I love to watch it. And he was just always like hustling hard, just a lot of hustle plays that you don't typically see from big leaguers too much anymore. And I think a lot of that just comes from, hey, he's a D3 guy, and a lot of people may have turned him down or whatever for it. And
For
yeah,
sure.
I enjoy watching him.
That's really cool to see. Baseball, it's all about the attitude that you have. If you go out there and you're given 50, 60%, but then you have guys like LeCastro who's given 150%. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you got to love to have that on your team. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you absolutely have. I mean, even if he doesn't contribute much as far as, actual stats wise and games go, just to have that kind of guy on your team, I mean, even if he's not playing, that's huge.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, exactly.
That's
So he's
cool.
someone that I'm hoping he gets a little bit of playing time. I'm not sure how much he will get, but if he does, and if he moves into an everyday role, I can definitely see that being either a jersey or a shirt that I buy in the near future. Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
really cool. So he outfielder, right? He's an
Yes.
outfielder. Yep.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then I think he played middle infield like 3 times when Marte kind of tweaked his knee towards the end of the season. But
For sure.
yeah, predominantly outfield.
So I kind of want to talk about Ketel Marte. You brought him up a little bit. Where did this guy come from? I mean, obviously he was with Seattle. He was okay. First year with the Diamondbacks is okay,
Yeah.
but then he has just, I mean, exploded onto the
Yeah.
scene. Did you see this coming?
No. Like, I mean, as a fan, I want to say, oh, yeah, I believed in him. But to
Yeah.
finish fourth in MVP voting, absolutely not. No way. And what was cool is he had such power and he had it from both sides of the plate. Like, he would have multi home run games, one
Yeah.
from the right side of the box and one from the left. Like, it was unheard of. He was playing extremely well in both the outfield and the infield. And it was just fun to watch all the time.
And then you have Nick Ahmed, obviously, as well, too,
Oh, yeah.
the Gold
Gold
Glover out
glove.
there.
Yeah. Slick Nick.
You talk about a lot of teams that have like solid infield, solid rosters. You're probably going to think of the Dodgers. You're going to think of the
Mm-hmm.
Red Sox. You're going to think of those, Yankees, maybe even. You're going to think of those bigger teams. The Diamondbacks have one of probably the sneakiest, just really solid infields in all of
Mm-hmm.
baseball. I mean, when everyone is playing at their full potential, I mean, obviously losing Goldschmidt kind of sucked, but I think
Yeah.
Cron's going to step in and I think he'll do a solid job. I
Yeah. And
mean,
then
that's awesome. I mean, that's a really underrated infield there.
yeah. No, and that's kind of goes back to the being the Diamondbacks and not being the Yankees or the Dodgers.
Yep.
They had I remember who I was talking to. One of the guys in our baseball group chat that we all still talking. They were talking about like who should win the MVP, and I was like, obviously I was gonna throw Ketel Marte in there just to do my due diligence. And they were
Right.
like they didn't even know who it was. Like they're like, what? They're like,
Really.
you're crazy. I was like no, like this guy has like he's hitting over 300. He has all these home runs. Like he's balling out. And they're like, oh crap, like he's actually having holy cow, that's a good season. I was like, yeah, he just doesn't get the recognition because he's not
Yep.
You know.
He's on the Diamondbacks and not the Yankees.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not Paul Goldschmidt anymore.
Yep.
But
yeah, that's awesome. Would you rather, being a fan of a team that doesn't get as much love as the Diamondbacks do, would you rather kind of fly under the radar that way, or would you rather kind of have the media, the spotlight like the bigger market teams have?
I mean, I see both sides of the coin pretty clearly. Like, it's fun being the underdog and just like winning. You don't have to worry about like having 1,000 cameras on you. Every little thing you do gets dissected. Like poor LeBron James can't do anything without getting scrutinized.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it is nice to get the recognition when it's deserved. Like the Diamondbacks went on an insane 18-win streak last year or something like that, and no one really talked about it.
Yeah.
And so it's just little things like that. It would be nice to have like, oh, hey, this team's always here. Like, they're a respectable team. Whereas the other side is you don't want to be just looked at a microscope, because then, they aren't the bigger name teams. They aren't like the 9,500 win team. So then it's like, oh, they're going to get all the scrutiny too. So I don't know. I see both sides.
I agree. I think it would be nice, I guess, on the end of that. A lot of times people look at those teams that maybe don't get as much recognition, and they're like, oh, well, they just don't have good players on their team. Well, not necessarily. They probably have good players. They're just not getting the spotlight and the recognition that they deserve, like Ketel Marte. I mean, obviously, I see him, how many games a year when the Rockies and Diamondbacks play each other. I mean, I know this guy's an absolute beast. But to somebody who watches games, on the East Coast, probably don't know too much about him.
No, exactly.
Oh, wow. You kind of got used to it, I guess, after a little bit. The Dodgers are kind of the big brother of the division, and everyone else kind of falls second tier.
It's so frustrating, especially when I saw they got Mookie. I was like, we got Mad Bum. I was like, okay, maybe we'll compete. It'll be close for a division, But then they got that, and I was like, well, wild card, here we come again. We just can't keep up. We can't keep up with a 9,500 win team, unfortunately.
It's tough. It's tough for sure.
Those games are always fun. I love it when the Diamondbacks play the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, same. I mean, interdivision games are one of the most exciting games to watch, not just in baseball, but in all of sports.
In anything, yeah.
I mean, you watch your division rival. I mean, even if they're not rivals, like, Padres and Diamondbacks, I don't think they're rivals. And when you play against them, you want to watch because something cool happens.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, my brother and I were fortunate enough to go up to San Francisco this summer, and we got to watch the Diamondbacks and Giants play up there, and that was cool. We got to see Robbie Ray throw, and it was Kevin Crone's first game, and his family was sitting right in front of us, actually.
Okay, really?
Yeah, it was cool. We were kind of looking. They had all these signs like, "Go, Kevin!" I was like, "Hey, they're here for me." And then we kind of realized, like, Brian was like, "Hey, wait, he just got called up." We're like, "Oh crap, that's his family." So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's super cool. So I guess going to next season now, predictions are always kind of fun. They're a fun thing to do. Where do you personally see the Arizona Diamondbacks finishing next season?
Do you want superfan Kevin, or do you want realistic Kevin first?
We'll do superfan Kevin first.
I think they win something like 94 games, 95 games. Come close to the Dodgers. I don't know if they do it, but they definitely get a wild card. They win the wild card, and then kind of see what happens from there. I think if they get matched up with the right team and not the Dodgers after the first wild card, or not after that, but yeah, if another team can sneak in the one, I don't know. I just don't want to play the Dodgers. Don't want to play Dodgers.
I mean, but if it comes down to a one-game winner-take-all, Bumgarner, I mean, probably Walker Buehler. I mean, I think I don't know if the odds are in your favor, but they're pretty dang close. Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
So now, what about non-superfan Kevin? Where does he think that the Diamondbacks are going to finish?
Probably about 80, similar to last year, maybe a little better. Probably 87, 88 wins. Hopefully squeaking into a wild card spot, depending on how the Cubs and the Brewers end up doing. But, we'll see. I do think they can get into the wild card, and then assuming if Ketel Marte, if last season wasn't a big fluke, that's the big question that everyone's kind of worried about right now is, was it a one and done? Which I don't think it was, because the way he's playing the spring so far. But yeah, I definitely think upper 80s is very doable for this roster.
And I would kind of agree with you. If I were to make a prediction, I would probably say upper 80s, maybe low 90s if they can squeak
Maybe
out a
touch
few.
90.
Yeah, maybe touch the 90s. I think they could be a playoff team for sure.
Yeah.
Division, I think it's, everyone can kind of agree it's probably out of the reach for anyone in the NOS besides the Dodgers.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately.
unfortunately, but I do think that they are a playoff team. I think they'll be a wild card team. I don't know how far they make it, but I think they surprise some folks this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, I saw it was one of the early Vegas odds, and it had them winning something like 72 games,
Oh
and I
wow,
was shocked. I was shocked at that. Like they had the Padres finishing with more than them, and
really?
it made no sense to me.
See a
Yeah,
team.
I don't know if it's
Wow.
just because it was too early or what it was, but when I saw that, I was like, "There's no way. There's
I
no
don't
way."
know what they're thinking if they won 85 games last year with the roster that they had, which was decent enough to win 85 games, and you don't really lose anyone, but you get Bumgarner, Marte, and Calhoun, and
Yeah,
you're telling me you're gonna have a well below 500 team? I mean, I don't know.
yeah. It kind of blew my mind too, but we'll see. I
Uh,
know the Padres are a very young team, and they've had one of the better farm systems. Getting to watch them all with the Chihuahuas that are in town, the AAA team, they just smack everybody they play. So,
they do. It is a scary
but,
team for sure.
yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. Definitely don't think it'll be below 500. If it's
No,
below 500, that would be an abysmal year, I think.
oh, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
that would surprise a lot. I mean, I don't know how much people know about the Diamondbacks. I mean, you and I at least, I can't see them finishing below 500.
No.
I mean, Rockies fan of me, yeah, I want them to finish under 500. Realistically, no, they're not going to.
Yeah.
That's fine. Um, so I guess now, kind of a more fun part of the show, kind of, get personal questions for you about baseball, Diamondbacks. I would
All
say
right.
rapid fire, but just, kind of that same idea.
Okay.
So you kind of mentioned one guy with Tim LaCastro. Is there another guy on the Diamondbacks that maybe MLB fans don't know about, or maybe someone in their minor league system that, hey, look out for this guy this year because he's going to be a really solid player that people might not?
I mean, I want to just go right to Archie Bradley just because not too many people know of him just because he started the season last year awful.
Yeah.
And then he's just so electric to watch. Like, I even have socks with his face on him. I have a shirt with his face on him. I'm growing out my beard to kind of look like him.
You
Like,
got some time for that though, for the
yeah,
beard.
I know. But I don't know. He's one of the most fun players to watch. He's always heated whenever he plays, especially against the Dodgers. He got some flack the other year for he struck out the side in a big game and like in Arizona when the Diamondbacks were I think they swept him that series, and all the Dodgers fans were upset because he was ex- like extremely excited. Like no, he just plays with heart, and
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I implore anybody if they get a chance to watch a close Diamondbacks game where he gets to come in, it is fun to watch him pitch.
And we all know that if he has to hit, he can do that too. So,
I wasn't gonna say it,
well, I know
but
you were thinking it, so I figured I would.
oh yeah, I have that GIF or GIF, whatever you call it. I have that saved in my phone, and I've watched that YouTube video many a time.
It's safe to say that anytime I see that video be brought up, I will switch the channel or change something else because
Right, rightfully so. Rightfully
really
so.
so. Um, yeah, people probably don't know though that I was with you guys. I was at your apartment watching a
Yeah,
game, dude, and your roommates all were there. Jeremy and the twins were there too.
yeah.
Um, yeah, that was I was beside myself during that game. I got to say that much.
Oh, that was a nuts game. It was so high scoring, and
It was.
everyone, no one threw well as a pitcher, and it was I don't know. It was
Because I
close
remember
to
Gray
baseball.
Gray started off terrible that game, and then Greinke, I think he didn't he have like a no hitter through like 4 innings or something like that. Like the Rockies could not hit,
Yeah, and
and
then
then
they
the
had
Rockies
one big
started
inning,
catching. Yep,
and then Corbin went in, and then I think Ray went in, then Corbin.
yep. And
Yeah, it was
Arnott
weird.
Story went back to back.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a fun game. That was a fun
it
game. I
was.
wish the outcome was a little different, but it was a fun game nonetheless.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Um, so who is your all-time favorite Diamondbacks player?
Luis Gonzalez.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, had the big walk off with the World Series and just his iconic batting stance. He's still with the organization now. My brother and I actually got his autograph, him and Craig Counsell at a Diablos game. Yeah, we walked all the way down and we were kind of like hugging over the rim or the wall, you know, and he was out there just fielding batting practice or doing whatever he was doing. And I actually dropped the ball onto the field.
Okay.
And so I was like 5 or 6, and so he came over and picked it back up. I was like, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" So sure, he gave it to me, and then Craig Counsell came over, signed it too. And then all of a sudden, there's a line all the way up the stands, and I'm just like, "Well, sorry, dude, bye." There goes little 6-year-old me.
That's awesome, man. That is super cool.
Wow. Yeah, I loved watching him play too. He's just such a good hitter.
Now, who is your all-time favorite Major League Baseball player? Now, it could be Luis Gonzalez. It could be. That's an okay answer. Or maybe it's somebody else on a different team.
It is Alfonso Soriano.
Yep.
Alfonso Soriano.
Yeah, you're a big Soriano guy.
Oh, yeah. When I was young, I tried to have the close stance. Didn't work out too well, but I loved it. I used to wear the number 12 for him. When he came on the scene his rookie season with the Yankees, he was just so good, and I loved watching. He was a leadoff hitter. I was a leadoff hitter at the time. He would hit home runs. I would try to hit home runs. It wouldn't exactly happen, but I would try. You know, he would always have like the 40 home run, 40 stolen base seasons. He was it was fun to watch. I liked him a lot.
It's kind of unfortunate that he was on some not so very good teams too. For when he was with the Cubs, they were I mean, okay seasons every once in a while, but for the most part, struggled.
No, not good. I remember. The one thing that I do remember watching with him with the Cubs is when he was with Carlos Zambrano, who was
a nut.
Could hit the crap out of the ball for whatever reason, but he was. I don't know why I remember him so much, but I do. But yeah.
You took a guy that plays with intensity, Zambrano. That is that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. So Chase Field, obviously, I know you've been there a few times. For people who maybe haven't been to Chase Field, maybe that want to go there, what are some cool things, inside of the stadium that's maybe kind of unique to Chase Field?
The food. So one, what's nice is they have the cheapest, like beer, hot dogs, popcorn, like general concessions is the cheapest in all professional sports.
Oh, wow.
A+ there. And then they have, it's called a churro dog.
Okay.
And so it's like 2 churros and then like ice cream in the middle, kind of like a banana split, but with churros. And then they'll put glazed donuts on it.
Wow.
It is like 17,000 calories, but it's like you get it, and it's like you and whoever you're with will like take a few bites. You're like, okay, this is really good, but it's too sweet. So then you just pass it around. So it's nice.
The cheapest concessions, huh? I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, so if you ever get to go there, it's nice. You can get like a $2 hot dog, like a $3 beer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta go to Diamondbacks. I gotta move to Arizona or something.
Yeah. But if anyone does get the chance to go there, it's perfect. It'll be 110 degrees outside, but you walk in there, it's nice and cool. Everyone in there is super friendly. The atmosphere is always fun. You can get really cheap seats out in the outfield.
Okay.
So, yeah. Then they got the pool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you have to pay extra to get into that, or how does one get into the pool?
To be honest, I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't even make up an answer to tell you about that.
That's fair.
But
what's the best seat in the house? Or is there one? Or are they all the best seats?
Personally, I like right behind the third base, the home dugout. Like maybe like 5 rows up. You don't want to be too low, but high enough, but right along the third base dugout, absolutely.
Okay.
That is always my favorite. That's my favorite place to be.
For sure.
I like being behind the plate, but at the same time, I like the kind of like the off center view.
Yeah, definitely.
That's usually my go-to.
It's kind of weird because there are some ballparks where the home dugout is on the third base side, but like the Rockies, I know their home dugout is on the first base side. So I don't know what the difference is, or if it really even matters. But I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
Yeah. I don't know. Random thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're kind of at the end of the episode now. Is there anything that you want to bring up as far as Diamondbacks, Major League Baseball, any topics you wanted to talk about with that at all? Get your opinion out on anything?
I'm surprised the Astros didn't come up,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Don't want to beat a dead horse there, but
No,
just hope
definitely.
you just hope something like that never comes back up again in the sport of baseball. It kind of tarnishes it for a lot of us, and you know, baseball doesn't get all the flash that the NBA or the NFL does, and then it getting that reputation is a little disappointing. But I think it's going to be an exciting year for baseball. I really do. I think the Yankees are going to be a great team. The Red Sox, who knows how they're going to be, so that'll be an interesting rivalry to see. And the over-under on how many Astros get pegged is probably at 120, so that'll be funny to watch. But I don't know. I really just hope Trout gets to the playoffs, to be completely honest.
Oh, I do too.
I just want to see him in the playoffs, see what he can do, because he is by far one of the best players that we've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I feel the term generational talent just kind of gets thrown around every once in a while, like just kind of a loose term. But like Mike Trout truly is a generational talent.
Yeah.
Like when it's all said and done, you could very well make the argument that he's the best of all time. If he's not already up there in that category right now.
Absolutely. And I feel like the only thing that's holding him back is the Angels, they're the Angels.
They are, yeah. Yeah.
So I hope with, the additions they made this offseason, I really want to see him do something in the offseason, or in the postseason, excuse me.
Same. It's unfortunate, I brought it up, with Nick on the show many times that baseball is, in a lot of regards, very much a team sport as far as one player can't, determine the outcome of a game. Like basketball, like LeBron James can go up and down the court and that's it. But like baseball, you need a team around you. But obviously, very individualistic sport too, because when you're in the batter's box, you're in the pitcher's mound, you're in the outfield, no one can help you out. I mean, you're by yourself there, but it's unfortunate. I think he's got a decent team this year. The pitching, it'll be interesting to see how that holds up. Yeah. But no one's going to be upset if Mike Trout wins a World Series.
No, not even a little bit. Especially, But we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. I don't know. I'm excited for baseball as a whole to get back. Being a has-been myself, gotta live through watching it now. So that's what I'm holding on to.
Oh, I feel that. That's awesome. Sweet. So like I mentioned at the end of the show, is there anywhere that if people want to talk baseball with you, talk Diamondbacks with you, where can they find you at? Where can they reach you at?
Oh, Twitter's probably always the best place for me. Yeah, I usually get back to tweets pretty fast, and I'm pretty active on there with especially Houston Texans and Diamondbacks now that that's starting to pick up now. Oh, yeah. So Twitter's probably definitely the best place. Do you want me to say my username now, or? Yeah,
go ahead. Shout it out.
So it's at SAUCYK232.
Sasuke 232.
Yes, sir. So love to chat, especially if you're a Dodger fan. Always love talking a little smack.
I know you'll do it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So there's that for you. I'll put that in the bio when the episode does come out. But if you want to reach out to myself or Nicholas Duckett, you can find me at Lucas_Dorton, at Duckett, and then the podcast itself is at D&D_podcast. So definitely check that out. Kevin, I hope you had a good time. Obviously I don't know how many people are going to listen to this, but who knows? Maybe you'll be the best guest that we've had so far. It'll just explode already.
We'll see. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. It's been a lot of fun. Good to see you and good to talk to you.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be tough. Brett Labor is on right after this, too. I'm talking to Yankees with him. So.
Oh, boy. You got to tell him that I said he's got to have that Raptor mentality and let me know what he says about that.
Right, Raptor mentality. That's awesome, man. All righty. Well, like I said, thank you for coming on. Thank you for everybody that's listening. As for Kevin Harris and myself, Lucas Dorton, we are out.